I think there were three ways that I could see preaching change to speak to this historical and cultural moment. It would be for preaching to, number one, to be transparent. I think for too long, we as preachers have got in the pulpit and we have been kind of the model citizens. And I don't mean you get up there and expose all of your stuff, but I think we need to rest in our humanity and that we're saved by the grace of God. Secondly, just being transparent. The thing about hip hop that I love is that when you read a hip hop song, this guy tells you who he is. He's a sexist, misogynistic guy who struggled with drug addiction, and we need to help him deal with that. That's transparency. But as a preacher, I don't really have any issues. And if I do have an issue, it's a scandal, right? Instead of saying, I think that a preacher, I need help, and it's okay. So authenticity, transparency, and in some sense what I want to call, I guess for lack of a better word, an issue is being some sense of integrity, that I am who I say I am. You know, we would say in the hip-hop community, don't preach about it, be about it, right? Or mass people say, don't talk about it, be about it. Let's be about it, right? Now, this is trite, but my grandmother would say, you know, the best sermon ever preached is one that's lived. I know that's trite, but how do we live this word, right? And if a preacher, if he or she embodies what it means to be a Christian, if I can see that, without it being on the back of your car, but in your lifestyle, and I think that would speak through your preaching. That there's a transparency, an authenticity, and a sense of integrity. That when I hear you as a preacher, that lines up with your life. I can see that sermon in your life, which demands transparency, authenticity, and integrity. And I think as a preacher, we have to bring to the pulpit in our relationship with people. And I think we do that, people hear us differently. That's why I think I can hear Talib Kweli, a DMX, I can hear DMX. Why? Because I know that's his story. I know it. I can, that's his brother's story. So when he speaks with integrity, authenticity, and transparency, boy, I can sure hear him. And I think if we as preachers did that and came off the high horse, let's just be real, brothers and sisters in Christ. Let me tell y'all, you know what I mean? And walk through that way instead of trying to be something that we're really not. Like I tell folks, when we get to heaven, I'm in the same line you in, saying, yo, Jesus, do you know me? I'm trying to get into it. My name in the book. I think that's how I would change it. And I think, too, I guess I would add preaching that engages the culture. You know, we say at my church, we're trying to help young adults live an edited life in an unedited world. It demands that I engage the culture, every form, from social media to popular culture to the very base. I have to understand that. You know, I have to, which means I have to be out there in the world, literally. I have to go to clubs. I have to go to concerts. I have to engage in Facebook or Twitter or Vimeo or Flickr or YouTube. I have to, because that's the world. I have to text. Because most of my young adults text me, they don't call me. And so for me to understand their communication patterns, I have to be involved in that culture. Because it begins to transform how I communicate with them. And to be an effective communicator, I need to know that they can tweet in less than 140 characters and tell you what they're thinking in 140 characters. And they're done. Whoa. And I'm going to preach for 30 minutes, right? Or if they're visual, how do I use those screens in my preaching? How do I use video clips how do I use music in my preaching? Quick story. I'm teaching Bible study the other night. We start with a song from Mary J. Blige, No More Drama. We end with Mary J. Blige, No More Crying, and Just Fine, two of her newer songs. Just Fine, one of her newer songs. Young lady, first night at Bible study. First night at Bible study. This weekend she goes to see Prince down at the Forum. Mary J. Blige opens up for Prince. Now, in the Bible, we're using the story of Jacob and Leah and Rachel and this whole drama issue going on there. And when Leah says, no more drama, I'm loving myself. Woman hits me up on Facebook after the concert, 1, 2 in the morning. I'm on Facebook then as well. She says, wow, that song of Mary J. didn't have as much meaning to it until after I went to Bible study. Now I'm like Leah, I love myself. Whoa! Now, so I've learned that she uses culture to engage text and communicates through Facebook with me, her preacher. Right? You see what I'm saying to you? So if I don't understand that world that they live in, visual, pop culture, pick spiritual things, connected with text, and connected in the world they communicate in, I'm lost. So my preaching is not just on Sunday morning. I'm preaching on Facebook. My posts are sermons. My Twitter updates are sermons. My videos on Facebook are sermons. Right? So all that speaks to my Sunday morning experience. So when I see, and so when you look at social media, if I'm connected with you throughout the week in the social media context and conversation, Sunday we're there. I know. I've read your life story every day on the week as you post it on your Facebook post. You see? So that informs my preaching. But if preacher's cut off from that world, I don't text, I don't tweet, I don't do Facebook, I don't do any of that. Well, how are you going to reach the folk? And that the world has shifted. That's how they communicate. That has to influence my preaching, right? So I would change that way too. We're connected through those mediums in which they communicate, and we're using the ways in which they're viewers, not hearers. So how are we using these screens that should be more than just showing the head of the preacher? You know what I mean? Because if I look at you, how many billions of hours of videos up on YouTube now? You know, how many pictures on Flickr? Let's talk about how many videos on Vimeo. And we're not there yet. We have to be there. If we're not streaming, if we're not there, if we're not engaging it, I think we're missing how we communicate with them effectively as preachers.